Welcome. In this script we'll go through a revised version of Alien 3. Before we jump in though, I want you to keep in mind that this script will be following certain rules, because it's easy to create something better from scratch, but harder to write under the thumb of an intrusive studio. Alien 3 had a troubled development due to studio interference, so I'm going to be taking certain mandates into account when writing this. What mandates, you may ask? In the interest of spoilers, I'll save them for the end. As for the beginning though, let's dive in. Opening credits intercut with the aftermath of the previous movie. In this version, our survivors are picked up by a ship instead of crashing. Unfortunately, it isn't one they want to be on. While Bishop is repaired and reprogrammed to work on said ship, the others are considered as viable candidates. It's determined that Newt and Hicks are to be transported to the nearest colony, as Hicks is a man and Newt is too young, whereas according to the ship's captain, Ripley will fit right in. We cut to the ship dropping Ripley off on a planet similar to Earth called Solace. Ripley is delivered to a commune in the planet's polar circle within an icy, snow-laden forest. She's unfrozen by Evans, a physician, and brought up to speed while her head is shaven and she goes through a medical checkup. Then, once the head chaplain, Ward, enters the scene, we find out where Ripley actually is. The Divine Temple is a remote sanctuary that is run by the Anders family as a private company. It is a refuge and reform commune for women, staffed exclusively by women. We get introduced to Overseer Anders then, who married into the big money family and oversees the commune. She warns Ripley not to cause any trouble, as the temple depends on successful operation in order to spread across Solace and the rest of the galaxy. Ward also brushes off Ripley's idea of leaving, claiming that she'll be convinced of their perfected way of life soon enough. Ripley immediately snoops around, because at this point she trusts nothing and no one. The compound is open format, mixing nature with low tech. There are rope bridges between trees, hot spring baths, outdoor gardens. Ripley explores them all, noting how the Temple Sisters are either docile or wary. As she explores, the mess hall bell rings, summoning everyone to eat. Ripley meets Genevieve, Vive for short, a newer member of the commune. While Vive is mostly devoted to the cause of redemption that Saint Ward preaches and Overseer Anders advocates, she is not yet fully indoctrinated. Ripley plays on this, plying information from Vive about a ship that crashed nearby in the woods. Cue Ripley sneaking out of the commune to reach the ship. Beyond Divine Temple's walls, the world is dreamy. Up in this polar forest, our cast is trapped in the tail end of a polar night cycle, meaning that the sun doesn't appear at all, so this entire story will take place at differing shades of night. Ripley finds her way to the nearby crash site. She stumbles upon corpses inside, discovering that the ship is mostly out of commission, while simultaneously realizing that it's an escape ship from the same colony she just came from. Then, to her horror, she discovers 12 egg sacs. In a panic, Ripley flees right into the arms of Miller, head of security. Miller and her search party subdue Ripley, unwilling to listen to her story of eggs, and take her back to the commune. Then a short time after they leave, a bear approaches the crash site, drawn to an opening egg. Meanwhile, Ripley is tossed into jail. She meets Ava, a convict who arrived just before her. Ava explains that Ward imprisoned her for disrespecting God. When Ripley asks what'll happen to them, Ava says that Ward mentioned some sort of penance walk. Penance will have to wait though, cause screaming interrupts the discussion. With Ava's help, Ripley lockpicks her way out of the shared cell. The two run for it, but before they can leave the jail, they're intercepted by Temple Sisters. Ward calls for Ripley and Genevieve's execution. Anders tells Evans to bring sedatives. There's chaos until suddenly the alien appears. This creature is bigger and bulkier. Its source was a polar bear, so it's paler, with larger claws and a thicker tail that's more like a whip than a spear. Overall, this thing is stronger, more durable, deadlier. It shows up and immediately rips an unlucky extra apart, causing sisters who aren't stunned to scatter. The alien approaches Ripley then, and we get that iconic clip from Alien 3, with Ripley getting rescued when Vive throws a rock to save her. The alien goes for Vive, but a Temple Sister gets in the way and is killed instead. Her body is carried away in the alien's teeth as it leaves to feed. Act 2 starts with Ripley explaining what the alien is. Everyone finally believes her, of course, but Ward floats the idea that resistance could be blasphemy and that this entity could be sent by the divine. Nobody listens to her though, as Ripley has the stage. Escape is deemed impossible. Anders explains that they die out in the woods from the cold, and that the next supply ship won't arrive until after the blood moon tomorrow, so their only option is to fight. Unfortunately, there are no guns. The commune is protected only by medieval weaponry: swords, axes, spears, bows. This is an Anders directive as a way to link back to what they deem as natural, and a way to endanger our gang of misfits. Regardless, said misfits set up a plan. They're going to lure the beasts into the animal pens, then wait above in the tree bridges and throw down Molotovs made from generator fuel. Ward demands Ava be the bait despite Ripley's protests, but V volunteers to go with Ava to keep her safe.
She deserves a chance at life.
Viv explains.
Just like the rest of us.
The plan is executed. Viv and Ava bang pots and pans to lure out the xenomorph, or, since it's a bear, we'll call it the Ursamorph. And it works. The Ursamorph charges in. It's much less stealthy than its predecessors and more like a wrecking ball. It chases Viv and Ava, nearly catching them, but after the two run into the pens, the Ursa hesitates, unwilling to enter. Then it looks up. Ripley stares at the creature, realizing what's about to happen.
Oh no.
The Ursa leaps onto the nearest tree, then climbs, tearing someone off to throw down below. There's a panic. Everyone scatters again as the Ursa slashes one bridge down, killing and crippling multiple sisters, then hunts down others. Ripley rescues Miller from getting gored. Evans tries to reach Anders, but the Overseer abandons her. Evans falls, then runs, and the Ursamorph gives chase. The physician makes it out into the woods to a hilltop, but is caught and killed. The alien feasts then, and we get a shot of the bloody Ursamorph roaring against the backdrop of a nearly full moon. Back at the commune, the remnants of our gang picks a second route, getting weapons. If they can't burn the alien, they're going to have to face it in melee. Ward again questions fighting, urging the survivors to consider what the creature's purpose is, as well as their own. They ignore her. The survivors head to the armory, which can only be reached via a pulley elevator that supports two at a time. One person not on the platform has to pull it up or down from either ground floor or the armory itself. Ward and Anders pressure Viv to do it, so she does, as long as she gets to choose who ascends first. Ripley and Ava go. Ward demands to go second, but suddenly the alien returns. Viv gets in the pulley with Anders, shouting for Ripley to get them up. The Ursa attacks while the lift rises, jumping halfway on, grabbing Anders' leg to drag her off. The Overseer dashes her head against a rock, then the Ursa crushes her. Ripley pulls Viv up while Ward flees with Miller, splitting the party. At this point, the commune is full of scattered screams. The alien is bloodlusted, hunting survivors relentlessly. It doesn't need stealth or subterfuge. It's huge, like Death with Legs, in its own playground. Cut to Ward and Miller, who are hunkered down in the mess hall. Miller decides to leave to help screaming people somewhere outside. She moves to the door, but Ward knocks her out, tying her up. Ward then departs, but she doesn't help the screaming voices. Instead, she leaves the compound, trekking to the crashed ship and stepping into the room with the egg sacs. In the armory, Ripley, Viv, and Ava arm themselves with a kukri knife, spear, and crossbow. They don padded armor while back in the crashed ship, Ward awakens after being infected. In the armory, Genevieve prays. In the crashed ship, Ward rises, reborn and smiling, surrounded by 3 hatched facehuggers who crawl around and over her. The blood moon arrives. The mess hall bell rings. Ripley, Viv, and Ava head there, only to find a tied-up Miller and the dead facehugger that infected her. Ward appears then, but when confronted by Ripley and her team for betraying them, she only laughs.
Don't you see? This is our purpose.
She preaches.
Life.
Ava tries to shoot her, but the alien intercepts, taking the bolt. Viv frees Miller and kills a facehugger in the process. Ripley faces the alien, nearly dying until Ava throws a Molotov that makes the mess hall go up in flames. Together, our survivors escape after fire separates them from the alien, killing the 2 other facehuggers as they flee. Ripley convinces them then that they have to destroy the crashed ship and all its eggs. They go, running through the woods as the blood moon casts everything into shades of red. Our heroes throw Molotovs in order to destabilize the ship, igniting it and the forest. Then Ward and the Ursa appear. Enter our final confrontation. Ripley faces Ward while the others face the Ursa. Ava saves Viv from death by spearing the beast. When it turns to kill her, Miller leaps in the way, making a shield the Ursa won't attack since she's infected. Ward and our protagonist wrestle until the priestess stabs Ripley. Meanwhile, Miller tackles the Ursa into the ship, getting Ava to close the door and seal both her and the beast inside. At the same time, Ripley manages to cut Ward down, finishing the fight. Ava and Vive haul a wounded Ripley from the burning woods, avoiding the explosion that kills Miller and the alien, and destroys the remaining eggs. Cut to dawn. True dawn, as the sun rises for the first time in the movie. Our three heroes sit in the smoldering ruins of the commune, huddled together under a bundle of blankets. A ship appears on the horizon. Ripley sees it, smiling, but by the time it arrives, she's gone. The crew disembark to pick up the survivors. When they intend to leave Ripley's body behind, though, Ava refuses.
We're not leaving her.
She insists.
She comes with us.
So the crew takes 3 instead of 2, then flies off, leaving ashen ruins behind. Alright, there's the rewrite. Now let's circle back to those studio rules so I can explain the why behind this script. Rule number 1, no neuter Hicks. This was a through line in all of the scripts pitched for this movie. I'm fine with it, as I wasn't interested in retreading old ground. However, the way that these two went in the original just felt malicious. There was no need for all that brutality, so I just shipped them off. Rule number 2, Sigourney Weaver had to star. This directive came from Fox president Joe Roth. This one's pretty straightforward. My preference would have been for Ripley's story to end with a second movie, but hey, it is what it is. Rule number 3, no guns. This directive came straight from Sigourney Weaver. I actually think this heightens the tension of the movie, because our heroes couldn't just shoot the alien. Best they had in this script was a crossbow, and that was more of a stopgap than a solution. Rule number 4, Ripley must die. Again, this was a Sigourney law. I disagree with this decision, but had to incorporate it. In the original film, I felt that Ripley's death was too grim. Alien 3 in general was a little too retributive for me. It felt like the writers didn't like Ripley and wanted her to suffer. She saves Newton Hicks, oops, they're dead. She gets to sleep with Tywin Lannister, oops, he's dead. She beats the alien, oops, she's birthing the alien. It was oddly mean-spirited, especially in contrast to how reverently it treated the prisoners in their quest for redemption. On my end, I wanted Ripley to find some sense of community and pass the torch, so to speak. I didn't get into it with this script, but I think it'd also be cool to have Ripley vibe with Vive and Ava. Not as a mother, since that was already tread in Alien 2, but more like an older sister, or even just a friend, since she has practically none of those throughout these movies. With all that said though, that's all I have for this one. If you made it this far, leave a like and subscribe, because I have way more content coming your way. And speaking of, for my next rewrite, you guys ever heard of a dude called Cypher Rage? Until then though, cheers.